I'd like to call this meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council, serving as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Parish Port, Harbor, and Terminal District, to order at 3 p.m. All right. Please, roll call. All right, please let the record reflect that all council members except for Councilmember Black are present today, with Rousseau verbal. All right, please rise for the pledge. After you, Dr. Gui. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. My apologies for doing things out of order this morning, this afternoon. All right, now for the prayer. We take this moment to acknowledge Almighty God and thank Him for our bountiful blessings, especially for the port's natural resources and naturally deep harbor. We give thanks to God for our brave and courageous men and women who, in our military, daily risk their lives to protect our precious freedom. And we pray that our diplomats and world leaders know how to obtain world peace. We pray that this government body, comprised of both council and administration, will always serve our parish with honesty, humility, and equality to all, and for the wisdom to know right from wrong and the courage to do that which is right.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Ms. Barb, can you move us down the agenda, please?
Sure. There is no executive session. Number 3, status report by the Executive Port Director.
Sandy, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chairman, members of the board. I am Sandy Sanders, Executive Director of Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District. Follows is my Executive Director's report for the reporting period of 23 October to 11 November. During this time frame, it is with great sadness to report to you that after a long, hard battle with cancer, our employee, David Atwell, passed away last week on 2 November. At his parents' home in Mississippi, David was surrounded by his family at the time. David was hired as a rescue engineer for the port in 2006, and over his 14 years, he was a very hardworking, loyal employee that will be terribly missed by his crewmates. During this time frame and prior to, we have also been preparing for our upcoming Port Board budget meeting, which is slated for 17 November at 9 a.m. at the council chambers. We met with Senator Vitter and Kyle Ruckert to review areas of concentration for the year 2021, and we still continue to do a weekly update with our carrier, and thus far we are receiving very positive feedback. We had our first kickoff training meeting with our diversity training moderator, the Sloan Group, and will undergo sessions 3 and 4 in December. Lastly, we are finalizing our annual sexual harassment training for all employees and commissioners as required by the state. Mr. Chairman, subject to your questions or comments, this concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sanders, and our prayers are going to be with Mr. Atwell and his family during this time. Are there any questions from the board? Mr. Russo, you seem eager.
Yes. Am I on? Yes. Mr. Sanders, will we be getting an update anytime soon on the 6-month due diligence study?
Yes, sir. I can give you a periodic study update. And I think it'd be best if we do this on a confidential basis. But they like everything they see. We're really concentrating, lastly, on BCOs.
So you'll set something up to
I will.
individually?
I will.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bartholomew?
Mr. Sanders, do we have any issues with the storm, with the port vessels or anything? Any damages?
Storm vessels, storm?
Storm, yeah. Do we have any damages?
No, sir.
Just the building, but that's not your building.
Yes, sir. Right, yeah,
But everything else was all right.
yeah.
Okay.
And kudos to the parish. They got with the building very quickly.
Good. Thank you, sir. That's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Newberry.
Yes, I just want to give my condolences to the Atwell family. I appreciate his service to the Plaquemines Parish Port. Is there anyone in that position that took over his position?
I believe Mr. Durr has been interviewing for replacements for that position.
And can you explain his position?
A rescue engineer is, it's like a deckhand for our captains on our vessels. They have to go through certain trainings that, with the Coast Guard but
Okay, so
Mr. Durr could probably tell you. I can send you a copy of the job description and what they're required.
it's similar to a deckhand, I understand that.
Pardon me?
If it's similar to a deckhand, I know.
Similar, but they do require a lot of other training. They have to have water survival, they have to have fire and rescue training, they have to do helo ops with the Coast Guard.
Is that a vacancy that we have to fill? Is it needed, or is this position needed?
You can answer.
I can answer in the sense that all the positions are needed and that we would like to have a full crew. Frankly, we haven't had a full crew in almost 2 years. And
So is that causing overtime, Paul?
that does cause overtime. So in a sense, over the last 18 months to 2 years, we've had at least 3 vacancies. And when you look at the overall cost of overtime, it's essentially not paying those 3 vacancies as a result of overtime. We're actually paying for 9 positions as opposed to 3.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Are there any questions from? Oh, please, go ahead, Mr. Bartholomew.
If those positions in that field, then you can't operate the vessel. Is that so?
Well, we operate, but we have,
I mean, you have someone in that position.
yeah, we have someone,
If no one is in that position, then you cannot operate that vessel.
we can't operate, so therefore we pay for
Understand.
overtime, yes, sir, to operate the vessel.
So you need to have somebody in that position. Yeah.
Yeah, if we don't, it'll be taken out of service, correct,
All right.
sir.
All right. Thank you very much. Any
Thank-
questions from the audience? All right. Hearing none. Moving down the agenda, please. Sandy, thank you very much.
Discussion and update on the executive calendar, Commissioner Roussel.
Benny, please. What's that?
The floor button, thank you.
Yeah, you're clear.
This subject matter's been on here quite some time. We've made some progress. And, I'm getting to the point where it's becoming monotonous. So my request is that the calendar be real calendar, that it reflects what's actually going on and not just duplicative of meetings that are stretched into next year that are really not happening. And I don't know what else to say about this, other than, it's frustrating that the calendar is not a current, accurate, updated calendar on a regular basis.
Mr. Sanders?
Noted.
Or-
It is,
You're speaking to the mic, please?
it is a nuisance for those meetings that have been scheduled out in the past and are already scheduled out to 2021. And most of it is operating in a COVID environment. And just got to be more cognizant of getting it off that calendar. But we're bombarded with these type meetings. They automatically get populated on the calendar. And Carolyn is very aware of it. She's trying to be cognizant of it, but I understand what you're saying.
So I guess it's been noted many times. When do you see that it'll be addressed?
It is being addressed, but certainly not to yours and my satisfaction.
Okay, and without getting into specifics, I'll defer the item and see if we make any improvement by the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Representative Koknovich?
Are we still working on the COVID
or is people going into the office?
People are going into the office every day. We do allow, if there's a need to, for people to work from home. For example, we have one employee now, just really a few hours ago, that is aware that they came in contact with someone that has COVID, so they're going to be quarantining themselves for 14 days, and they will work from home. That puts us right now, we've had in the office, 20% of our staff in the office and 10% of our staff total have had contact, or excuse me, have had COVID-19 and recovered. So we have a rotation of folks coming into the office. Our executive staff comes in the office every day, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that we're all safe in the office.
We all know those Zoom meetings, there's something lost, body language, things like that.
That's correct.
We appreciate y'all working through a lot of uncertainty.
Right. And also, you know, at one point, we had issues with obviously educational issues. A lot of our people have children. So I can say for myself personally, there was a time where I had to work from home for about 2 weeks to a month because my kids were doing virtual learning. And so we're trying to be flexible. We actually meet with our staff on Fridays, but also on Mondays at 11:30. We have a call in or on Teams, because we want to check in on our staff personally and professionally. We cannot have a productive staff if their mind is somewhere else. So we want to make sure everyone has what they need to be productive, so that we all can work together, communicate with each other to help each other out.
Paul, thank you again for rising to the occasion. Mr. Russo, do you have some more? Or Ms. Newberry, I'm sorry, it's your turn.
Paul, you just hit it on the nail, being productive. So I'm going to go back to the calendar. So y'all have a rotation, and I understand that COVID's up and you want to keep everyone safe. That's definitely understandable, and I'm not against that. Is there any way that when Harlan is in charge of the calendar, or is it just Mr. Sanders?
Miss Harlan is the only person in charge of the calendar.
So when she's home, she has no access to the
Oh,
calendar?
she does. Everyone has access to the network and has access to, well, she has access to input on the calendar. That is correct. She's the only person that edits, deletes, or adds anything to the
And the
calendar.
only way she knows of change is from you or Mr. Sanders, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And just calendar's pretty simple.
It's pretty
I know it's
simple.
not on the top of your list on a daily, because you have other things going on.
Sure.
I understand that, but it definitely is a priority to Mr. Russo. So if something
Sure.
cancels or gets, those things need to be noted on the calendar. Real quick text to Harlan, I'm sure, if y'all can please.
And if you as a board, if anyone on the board sees something or they have a question about anything on the calendar, we don't have to wait till a board meeting to talk about it. You can always call us or text us or email us if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a bit of nuts and bolts. I use the Outlook app for iPhone, and I can add calendar appointments, remove them on the fly from just about anywhere. It's a super useful tool to have.
That's what Harlan uses.
Yeah, it was free. It's a great tool. Thank you. All right. Roussel?
Yes. Yes, that's what troubles me about trying to get this calendar accurate, because you can do it from anywhere, and you can do it from home, you can do it from the office, and it seems to me that it can be easily done. I know that we have a Trident meeting that's scheduled on there every Monday, a call. Are those calls actually happening, or is just on the call, on the list?
Those are happening.
So you call, and they call every Monday at 2:30.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. And then back to the other comment about someone goes into the office every day. I've been by the office, and that must not be a full-time attendance. It must be something other than that, because I've gone to the office when every door in there was locked.
Yes, you went into the office last Friday, Mr. Roussel. And
But Mr.
Excuse me.
No, excuse me. Let me clarify that. I never said I went in there last Friday
I know you
only.
did, so let's talk about it, sir. So last Friday, for example, the port staff that's in the office was not in the office that morning. The reason why is because we were doing, as Sandy talked about, diversity, equity, and inclusion training at the GNO Inc. office downtown. It's been on our calendar for 3 months, and it had to be changed many a times on the calendar, and it's on the executive calendar.
because of the storms. So we've had to cancel it over the last 3 months, and we finally had a day to get everyone in at 9 o'clock and get them out by 12:30 to have this diversity, equity, inclusion training. We believe it adds value to our team in many ways. Many times we look at diversity, equity, inclusion, mainly just from a racial or gender component, but everybody has different experiences. And it was a very productive meeting for us to talk about ways that we can work together better as a team, what things are missing, what we need to start doing, what we need to stop doing, what we need to continue doing. So it was very productive. So that was one reason why
And-
I wasn't there that morning.
Do you mind, just for a moment? Paul, I'm really, really glad you mentioned that. If you have some materials left over from that meeting, we'd love to have those on the parish side of things.
Okay.
We tried to get a start there, and there just didn't seem like there was a lot of expertise within the parish government for it, and it's quite expensive to pull something just off the shelf, but if you have some things that we could use to build off of, we really appreciate sending those.
Yeah, I can send that material over and also any recommendations of those that have the expertise and that's running this training for us.
Perfect. Thank you very, very much. Roussel, please.
Yes, and I understand you pointed out that last Friday, but that's not the only day that I've been over there. And, I'm not one to have to go back and start keeping dates and notes when I go there, but I guess I will from now on. The other thing is that that teamwork session that you went to, I'm really hoping that it produces some positive results to the calendar issue. If it's talking about teamwork, that would be a great help to get the calendar corrected. I'll defer the item till next meeting. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Any other questions from the panel or from the audience? All right. Hearing none, moving down the agenda, the financial report and budget actual.
We have none at this moment.
Thank you. All right, bids and advertisements.
None, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, and now 5, introductions, please.
We have a few.
Please read them, Ms. Barb. Stealing your thunder a little bit here, but
That's okay. These are for Commissioner Blink. An ordinance to amend and as amended the Plaquemines Parish Port Harbor Terminal District 2020 operating budget of revenue and expenditures and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing and directing the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District's Executive Director Maynard Sandy Sanders to apply for a foreign trade zone designation for Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District from the Foreign Trade Zones Commission. A resolution authorizing Maynard J. Sandy Sanders, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to extend the current agreement for professional services with Dwyer, Cambria, and Suffren for the provision of legal counsel and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance adopting the original operating budget of revenues and expenditures for the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2021, and ending December 31st, 2021, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance adopting the original capital improvements budget for the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District for the 5-year period beginning January 1st, 2021, and ending December 31st, 2025, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Mr. Chairman, that is it for the introductions.
thank you very much, Barb. I really appreciate that. 6, ordinances, resolutions on second reading and final passage. We'll go ahead and go to A.
There are none. B, a resolution to provide insurance for the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District for a period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
All right, I'd like to offer as read. Seconded by Commissioner Newberry. Are there any questions from the panel? Mr. Russo, you lit up?
I don't have any.
My apologies. Anybody else? All right, and just to clarify, there's been no increase?
This one is a 10% increase. This is on the port assets.
Got it. All right, thank you very much. That's on the parish side. My apologies, getting things confused here. All right, are there any further elaborations? All right, any questions from the audience? All right, hearing none, go ahead and go to vote.
Mr. Bartholomew?
And the measure passes, 8 with 1 absent. Moving on to the next item, please.
C, a resolution to provide Port Employees Group coverages consisting of health, dental, vision, and life for the policy period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
All right. Like to offer? Seconded by Bartholomew. Any questions from the panel?
Staff, employees,
Pardon me?
employees, they had a chance to review.
We do open enrollment in December 1st of every year. So we will, this is a 5.4% increase from last year's premium.
And who absorbing that?
Pardon me?
Who's
Well,
absor-
it's about $3.90 to the employee and $10.40 on their portion
Uh-huh.
on for a family.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Maybe in the future, we could combine the port and the parish policies to find some savings, but not this year. All right, I'll call, Mr. Henry, please. As always, state your name and address.
Arthur Henry, Bill Chase. Could you tell the public what insurance company are you using?
We use Blue Cross Blue Shield of Louisiana.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions from the audience? I'd like to call a question. All right, 8-0 again. Moving along, please.
6D, a resolution authorizing Maynard J. Sandy Sanders, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to enter into a memorandum of understanding for curatorial services, University of New Orleans, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
All right, I'd like to offer this as read. All right, seconded by Mrs. Newberry. Oh, sure. All right. All right.
I did. What's wrong with it? Whatever the resolution number is.
Paul, you want to do this for 99 years, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Now, I looked at the list, but there was some, it was a little vague. And we haven't got to look at these artifacts. Is there anything of cultural significance to Plaquemines Parish that maybe needs to go down in the museum at Fort Jackson or anything like that? Or
Well-
could we potentially review those at a later time? We've been,
Sure.
dealing with the budget and things like that, so we haven't
Absolutely.
had time to go through artifacts.
Right.
But,
Well, my hope is that they'll be able to curate and go through the artifacts, and if there's anything that we can see that's of significance of Plaquemines culture or history, then if we want to bring that in with Fort Jackson, we can work that later. But I think just getting them curated, where they need to be, then we can review them from there is just to move forward. That'd be best.
Certainly. Is there anything notable that you know of that might be in there?
From a Plaquemines historic standpoint or preservation standpoint,
Certainly.
not that I know of, that's Plaquemines based. No.
Got it. Got it. Anything else just that might be notable in those artifacts?
Well, I gave you guys the list of artifacts. I can go through the list if you like.
No, well,
It's just,
We-
okay.
Is there an opportunity for us to go see the artifacts?
Sure, we can make that happen. I can work with UNO to make sure that happens. What they want to do is they have to curate it, list it out, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. So when we have this set in place, I can make sure that happens. Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Kognovich. Apologies.
UNO keep ownership of it, or is it ours?
No, it's ours. It's ours. Basically, it's on loan to them for X amount of years, but we can always, if there's something that we want out of this list, we always can bring it back to Plaquemines. That's not the problem.
All right.
So,
We're trusting you. All right. Like to call a question? Oh, yes. On line 8, Tell you what, we'll go ahead and do 100 years. What's that?
Of 18.
I might not have a document that lines up with what you have.
The,
Got it. Okay. All right.
It's I don't have the exact, I mean, we can always put that back in. I mean, it's a whereas. so
Sure.
It's not important to relative to the actual moving forward with it on a whereas.
Well,
But we can just remove it. Yeah, it's not really significant to the actual passage of the resolution.
okay. We'll go ahead and just defer this one until next month, just to,
Oh, I mean, I can try to look it up, but it's the resolution from when we actually entered into the agreement in 2018. So it's a whereas, which is not actually relevant of the actual passage. It's just like an explanation. So if we want to remove it and move on with the vote, we can do that. And if we want to amend it later, it's fine, but it's not necessary for the actual passage.
we'll just defer it and do it. We have a little bit more time. I don't want to rush on it. I mean, it's just artifacts in a box, right? I mean, it's not anything that's going to,
Right, what I'm saying is.
Trip
we
up
can
the
always-
product.
We can always insert that number later. If we vote today, we can insert that number later. I mean,
All right.
we recommend that we go ahead and have a vote.
okay, so we're going to defer this one and come back to it next month. Thank you.
6E, a resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District to dispose of disused movable property, specifically to dispose of a 2008 Chevrolet Suburban and a 2012 Ford F-250 utility truck on an as-is, whereas basis, and in accordance with Louisiana statutes governing the disposal of movable property owned by a political subdivision of the state and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Now, is this the truck that is in the parking lot of the building, the panel truck?
Yes.
So I went and inspected the panel truck, and it looks much better than what is on the parish side. And if able, we would like to move it over. Mr. Durr was discouraged me at the last meeting.
Yeah.
And after inspecting it,
Councilmember Blank, you need to offer and second it.
I'd like to offer. Mrs. Newberry seconds.
Yeah.
My
This was the
apologies.
one I think he reported it had 3 separate chassis and has over 200,000 miles on it.
And still better than what we're using on our side, you know,
Yeah.
if this is the same truck, in fact. Now, I looked at it, all the doors seem to open on it. The truck is in much better shape than we are using
Okay.
for some of our Chrome equipment, that kind of thing.
So we need to probably do a donation? Redo a separate resolution as a donation?
And we don't have to do this today here,
No.
but maybe we need to come back. But after looking at it, I was shocked at how decent, you know, it was in
Okay.
not bad shape.
Sure.
Is there anybody at the panel that? Mr. Russo, please.
The vehicles that we're attempting to dispose of, have they been replaced? And are we going to replace them?
We haven't looked into that yet.
So who were using them that no longer uses them?
Well, the trucks are using, Rowdy had the F-250, and the Suburban was used as part of the fleet.
Earlier this year, the marine diesel mechanic got another truck because they were having problems with this one.
So it's already been replaced?
So, yeah, the utility truck has been replaced, not the Suburban.
And who was using the Suburban before that?
They're using it as a fleet vehicle right now
Okay.
to bring crews back and forth. And then when they have different trainings in groups, they utilize one of those fleet vehicles to take the guys back and forth to their different training programs and schools.
So we're not going to replace it then?
So in the meantime, before our next meeting, what we'll do is we'll have somebody go over from the parish and, you know, take a look at it, talk with your folks. And if it makes sense to pass it over, we'd like to try and do that. As y'all know, we are in.
Mr. Chairman, I do have, in my documents, I do have the resolution number for the previous item, which is 313. So we can go ahead and, if you would like, sir, to move forward with the previous resolution.
Understood. Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and defer this one as well. Moving along the agenda, please.
6F, A resolution adopting the amendments to the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District's Accounting Policy and Employee Handbook.
Commissioner Russo.
Yes,
We were deferring this one.
I would ask that to be deferred because we have a meeting tomorrow morning to discuss this with the staff.
Is that fine? All right, as you wish. All right, moving along to item G, please. 6G.
6G, a resolution authorizing Maynard J. Sandy Sanders, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to enter into a professional services agreement with Environmental Science Services, Inc. for GIS acquisition and implementation for the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Would like to offer it? Seconded by Commissioner Newberry. Any questions from the panel? Russo?
After looking at the package, I wasn't really clear about the layers that we were going to be building on the GIS system. I'm supportive of a good GIS system, but is there any opportunity, as I had mentioned before, to incorporate with the parish this GIS system to have water lines, sewer lines, and those type of things on the layers in this program?
Yeah, once we get this voted on and begin to implement, we can look into how we can collaborate.
So what's the first layer that you intend on putting on here?
Well, we're going to evaluate what needs to be done first. We're voting so that we can move forward on the process. So whatever those layers are, we're going to look into it based on what the port's needs are. Obviously, bringing our jurisdiction, where our boats are, our property, different things like that. But as we move forward, we definitely want to collaborate with other agencies.
Well, in the grant application, I'm sure you had to give a definition or a scope of what you're applying the grant for. So you must have had some type of data in there to answer.
No, sir, we actually just focused on public safety and security and being able to understand our layout of the port. So where you want to get to, we can't get there till we vote on this. So the collaboration that we need starts with this process of hiring this organization, getting the software and the implementation.
Okay, and having said that, then I'd like to see the process that it took us to get here, which would be the application, if you don't mind. And I don't have a problem voting on this today, but please provide the application so I can see what the application and got us here.
Not a problem, not a problem.
Any other questions from the panel? Any questions from the audience? All right, I'd like to call a question, please. 8-0 with one absent. All right. All
Number
right.
7, new business, introductions of resolutions wherein suspension is to be sought. There is none. Number 8, approval of the October 22, 2020 meeting minutes.
All right, offered by Commissioner LaFrance, seconded by Blank. And we're going to go back to 6D, please.
Ms. Newberry? Mr. Bartholomew?
My apologies to the staff for getting things out of order here, please, but when we get a chance to go back to
6D, a resolution authorizing Maynard J. Sandy Sanders, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to enter into a memorandum of understanding for curatorial services, University of New Orleans, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer. Mrs. Newberry seconds. And fill in the blank. Paul, the number again, please?
313.
313. We'll put 313 in the blank. 2018-313 is the resolution number. All right. Commissioner Gui? Oh, Kognovich, please.
Yeah. While they was doing this, did they ever contact the historian for the parish while they was doing any of this?
I will check. I do not believe so, but I will check. They got a recommendation with UNO, and they had started a discussion. Our issue that we just wanted to try to move this forward, And if there's anything that we can bring to the parish for preservation or historical nature, we want to do that, but we want to be able to get it somewhere and get it settled and curate it, and then we can bring it back here. I think that's the best option.
The parish has its own historian, Rod Lincoln.
Okay, well, that's my fault then. I should have looked into that. My apologies. I saw UNO. I know what they can do from a archaeological standpoint, so I just wanted to make sure they were taken care of as immediately as possible. But we do have the option and ability to be able to bring everything down here, and I love to work with you and the historian of Plaquemines Parish.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Perhaps a visit to UNO is in order for interested parties.
Right. I'll reach out to Dr. Gray with UNO and see when the most appropriate time for us to visit with him with these items.
I think we could learn a lot from the past. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
No, we have-
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Mr. Henry, please. Getting ahead of myself. My apologies.
All right, Rich. Mr. Chairman, could you explain to the public what this understanding of memorandum is about?
So, I'm not the expert here, but what this is going to do is this is going to pass off artifacts that were found at the St. Rosalie plantation site, which is now the Plaquemine Liquid Terminal site, over to the University of New Orleans for curation of a period of 99 years. And correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, at the end of the 99 years, it's possible for those artifacts to come back to the parish. And what you're saying is, if there is something deemed of significant cultural significance to Plaquemines Parish, that we could receive those and have those
Right.
at the parish museum down near Fort Jackson.
Yeah, we have a very amicable relationship with UNO, so they've been very, very much considerate of what we're trying to do, so we shouldn't see any problems with that.
Got it.
I just want the public to be on board.
Absolutely,
Got it.
sir, and that's the issue, because we don't want those things to be destroyed, we want those things to be curated and preserved.
Absolutely. My apologies. Are there any other questions from the panel or from the audience? Okay, hearing none, I'll like to call a question. All right. 8-0, one absent. All right, and now I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn. Offered by Commissioner LaFrance, seconded by Kognovich.
Mr. Bartholomew?
All right, and the vote passes 8-0. I'd like to call this meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Port Harbor, the Plaquemines Parish Council, serving as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Parish Port Harbor and Terminal District, to close at 3:38 p.m.